We've been working on this client's landscape and retaining wall and parking area for a couple of weeks now, and we didn't want it to stay just a stucco kind of a gray color, so we're going to pick a paint color. I've got my Sherwin-Williams paint deck out here, and I wanted to show you how I go about picking paint colors, especially when it comes to a large swath of space like this is going to be. It's going to be quite the focal point for this house. And you can see here, you can see the brick color in the back. And all along, I talked to the client about choosing a color that would kind of blend with that instead of being a complete different. A lot of people would go with a white or a cream or something like that. But we're going to try something that pulls together all of those brick tones and then kind of visually pulls it down to here. So you feel like it's all one comprehensive design and that it's not starkly different. Today is a really nice day to pick a paint color because it's overcast outside. As you probably know, if you have super bright sunlight casting on whatever surface you want to paint, it's generally not a good day to pick a paint color. You want to try for an overcast day or one where you have some shade where you can really see the true color and not how the light affects it. Of course, light's important to paint colors, but especially if you're choosing a white, the bright light can really mess with your eyes, and I've ended up choosing badly before. Let's just say that. Okay, let's talk how to start off with your colors. Basically, I have the entire Sherwin-Williams fan deck here, and I'm gonna kind of look at the color that I have here and try to find a range that looks like it's gonna work. Now, I will tell you that if I was choosing for someone just randomly and said, you know, choose this kind of color palette, I like to go with kind of a brownish gray, which ends up being in this world. It ends up being, a versatile gray, a perfect gray, popular gray, agreeable gray, worldly gray. You guys have probably heard these colors whenever you're looking on Pinterest or looking at popular colors. These are all the popular ones, but look at how they look against this. They just look gray. It does not work. This wall is so warm. It's got so many orange and terracotta in it. We have to choose a color that pulls more to that favor so that it doesn't look, I mean, this would end up just looking like the wall it already is. It's just gray stucco. And y'all could see the contrast that was down on that wall compared to here. Now, I will say we also have mortar to contend with, and you can always choose a color that pulls the mortar color out instead of the brick. But we decided that we were going to try to blend, like take some sort of kind of overall mix of all these colors and pull something out of that. So what ends up happening is you end up being more in maybe this world here, or maybe this world back here. Can y'all see the difference between these? Maybe not this one. This one looks really gray. Can you see that? See how as you move back, you can start to see that there's a little more of this brick color in the colorways, and you can start to see how that, sorry, I'm not pulling it the right way. You can start to see that those work out a lot better. So then once you find a color or several colors, I usually try to find 3 or 4 that you feel like blend pretty well. Then what I'll do is I'll go get larger paint samples, which I actually already have. Let me show you. I have the designer paint kit from Sherwin-Williams, and it comes with these larger samples for me to be able to use. And generally what I'll do is I will take the large sample, put it up against the wall, and then I'll back away and look at them from afar so that I can kind of judge it from afar instead of being up close. And so I pulled about 5 colors here. You can see that this color gray pulls more to the grout color, which we were going to try. And the rest of these are just more warm and kind of blend with the brick better. So we put them all up, dot, dot, dot. We stepped back, and we ended up choosing this color right here. This is called Utterly Beige, which has to be the worst paint color I've maybe ever heard. Utterly Beige makes it sound like utterly boring. Anyway, this is the one that we chose. Now, you also want to keep in mind whenever you are choosing a paint color where you're putting it. And this paint color in particular is going to be in a kind of a sunny spot down at the bottom of their hill. You're going to see all of it at one time. You're going to see the retaining wall, and you're going to see the home brick all at the same time. So you want to take into account that generally when you're putting something in a sunny condition, especially outside, it is going to lighten it by about 2 shades. So we know that we're going to end up with a little lighter than this visually when it's all said and done. It's already pretty light, but we're willing to let it go a little lighter. And believe it or not, as much as this looks like gray, probably here, it is very different than the gray that's on the stucco. Let me show you. Okay, here we are. We're back at the stucco wall. Let me show you the color that we chose up against the gray wall. Can you see how brown it looks? I'll turn the camera around and show you guys a little closer, but it looks brown. It does not look gray, which this concrete wall, stucco wall, is definitely very gray. I do want to also add that when you're choosing paint colors, do not put the paint chips up against a color that will not be remaining. So for example, I would not choose this paint color against this. I took it up to the brick because that is what's going to stay. That brick is going to stay. This wall is going to be painted over. A big mistake that I see people make all the time, especially on the interior of their home, is they pick a bunch of paint colors and then they paint them up on the place where they're going to go because they want to see how they're lit in their home. They want to see how the light reflects. But the mistake that they're making is they're putting it up against the color that already exists, and it casts weird colors and it makes things look very different than they would look when the whole room is painted. So just make sure that whatever colors you're looking at, you put them against things that are permanent, are going to stay after the project is over. Do not put them against the thing that you are planning on painting over. This is not good. So you guys make sure to comment below if you have any questions about paint colors and choosing. I'll try to help the best I can. It really is hard to choose a paint color for someone else if you're not on a job site. So this is always like an in-person thing that I have to do, but I'll help any way I can. All right, have a good day.